Good morning to you. We can tell you that tomorrow there'll be a public viewing where Pope Francis will be lying in state at St. Peter's Basilica. That's followed by his funeral on Saturday, which is at St. Peter's Square. And then comes conclave, typically about 15 to 20 days after the pontiff's passing, where Cardinal Timothy Dolan will be in attendance. The grandeur of St. Patrick's Cathedral paying tribute to a man known for his humility and public service. Next to a picture of Pope Francis, the gold chalice and chair used by the Holy Father during his own Mass, during his historic two-day visit in 2015, which was also Pope Francis' first time visiting New York City. Cardinal Timothy Dolan saying some of his fondest memories of the Pope stem from that visit.
He was also amazed at the enthusiastic reception that he got. He said, I remember as we got out of the Pope Mobile in front of St. Patrick's after that tumultuous drive down Fifth Avenue, he said, I thought Americans didn't like religion. That was the caricature that we have. We know how different. That's not true at all. He was overwhelmed by the warmth and the embrace of the city. So, personal memories.
We know the Holy Father will break from a century-old tradition and be buried outside the Vatican, instead choosing a basilica in Rome, saying in his last will that he wished for a simple tomb in the ground without particular ornamentation, bearing only the inscription Franciscus. According to the Vatican, Francis died of a stroke just hours after delivering his Easter blessing from the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica. You can hear the strain in his voice following a 5-week hospital stay, battling double pneumonia last month.
Sorelle, buona Pasqua.
Cardinal Dolan leaves for Rome this evening for the funeral of Pope Francis, followed by the conclave to select the next pope in seclusion with cardinals from around the world.
There'll be some days of mourning, the funeral, continued days of mourning. The cardinals would then meet in what they call the congregational meetings every day, and the conclave would then begin.
But before Cardinal Dolan leaves this evening for Rome, he'll be holding Mass right here at St. Patrick's Cathedral at noon in honor of the life and legacy of Pope Francis. We're live outside St. Patrick's Cathedral on Calorama. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Carla, and in Rome, preparations are underway for parishioners to pay their final respects.
Correspondent Dina Baer joining us live from St. Peter's Square with new details on funeral plans for Pope Francis. Dina, good morning.
Good morning. Other than the bells tolling just a few minutes ago, there is really an eerie silence here at St. Peter's from the typical laughter you would hear from families as they visit this holy place. Today, you can tell that people are awaiting a funeral, and now we know that funeral will be at 10 a.m. on Saturday, Rome time. The Catholic Church had 6 days to bury the Pope following his death, and that is exactly what they are going to do. Today we also saw the first images of the Holy Father in a very plain wooden casket, rosaries wrapped around his hand, Swiss guards standing by. There will be a public viewing here tomorrow after the casket is taken by procession here to the Vatican from Santa Marta, where the Pope lived and where he died. As with any death, the realities are beginning to set in today. Today is a day for reflection after the shock yesterday when people woke up and found out that the Holy Father was gone. You know, it seemed a miracle after more than a month in the hospital that he came home to Santa Marta with strict orders from his doctors not to do anything, to stay in bed and rest and get well. And instead, Pope Francis, in typical fashion, went out among the people for Holy Week. He went to a prison to bless the prisoners there and tell them how profound forgiveness is. That is who he was. And then he waited until Easter, which so many knew he wanted to be there for what he and Catholics believe is the day that Jesus rose. And now the Catholics here believe that Pope Francis has risen to heaven as well.
The people's pope to the very end. We saw that. Dina, we know Francis was different from other popes in his time as the leader of the Catholic Church, but also in his end-of-life request. Tell us about that.
You know, we were here on the night he was elected. He took the bus home with the other cardinals rather than taking a special car as he was supposed to. The next day, we went to St. Mary Major Church. That is where he went in a Volkswagen after, because he wanted to pray there. And that is where now he wants to be buried. He doesn't want the pomp and circumstance of a typical papal funeral. He wants to be buried there. He even got a donor, a benefactor, so that St. Mary Major wouldn't have to pay for that burial process, because he believes in just being humble, and he believes in peace. And that is what the people here say they will carry on in his honor.
All right, Dina Baer, thank you. And you can find complete coverage of Pope Francis on our website, pix11.com. Be sure to stay right here for continuing coverage as funeral preparations begin.